Welcome to the Nature of Healing podcast. My name is Jen Shepard, and I am your host. This program is produced by Bolts of Love. This is a sanctuary place where we explore the myriad paths to align ourselves with the essence of healing and wellness and wholeness. Each episode is a journey closer to the love that we embody and that weaves the very fabric of the universe. So join us in each episode as we delve into conversations that illuminate the spirit, engage the mind, and soothe the soul. And from wisdom of ancient traditions to the insights of modern practices, we seek universal truths that transcend boundaries and awaken the healer within each one of us. So whether you're seeking solace, inspiration, or a deeper connection to that all-encompassing love, you are in the right place. So let's embrace this transformative power of healing together. And together, as we discuss and unfold and develop and be, we move ever closer to the love that we each are. A healing community starts with one wanting to be in the community. It begins with the individual waking up to the notion that they are not an individual, but a part of the whole. We speak of this in spiritual terms often. We say we are the one. We are all part of that infinite and divinity and the beauty of creation. And we are all aspects of the universe. This is both wonderful and it is definitely true. We are also human beings in physical form. It's not just a beautiful thought that we are all in this together. We really are all in this together. We are all humans expressing this life in its 7 billion plus different forms. How we take care of ourselves, what we are willing to learn, and how we are eager to show up for each other emotionally and in visible deeds matters. We don't live without a community. I have talents that someone else does not have. They have talents and skills I do not possess. And in that exchange, in that recognition, we grow. There are all kinds of communities. There are families that are related through ancestry. There's chosen families, camps and villages, and towns and townships, cities, states, countries, continents, and the world. There are clubs and places of business and career, spiritual and religious communities. And those that form when there is a need or a talent to be expressed through craft clubs and nonprofits and service organizations, places of learning, and places that take care of community infrastructure and managing policy and laws. We may belong to more than one community, various ones, and rely on some of them more than others. We may even have online communities that we are a part of and that help us in our emotional lives and our connection and our learning. People share interests, find support in so many categories, and they can exchange with people from all over the planet. We get into trouble with the community when we start to feel and act as if our community is somehow more important or correct than another community. In all communities, except the communities of our youth that our adults and caregivers chose for us, we see ourselves or a part of ourselves in the group. We really need to ask ourselves whether we fit in the group or if we belong in the group and to the group and with the group. Brené Brown, who's a well-known researcher and author, has spoken extensively about fitting in versus belonging. According to her insights, fitting in is about trying to adapt ourselves to be accepted by others. It's a form of self-betrayal where we change who we are in order to fit in or make others accept us and like us. Conversely, belonging is part of something bigger, but having the courage to stand alone and belong to ourselves above all else. It doesn't require us to change who we are, but who to be who we are. Let's say that again. It does not require us to change who we are, but sometimes it does require us to think about and how to be who we are wherever we are. Brené Brown emphasizes that fitting in can be the most significant barrier to belonging. She says, when we fit in, we ask, what do we need to do for you to accept me? Conversely, belonging asks, this is who I am, and am I able to be accepted for that? She believes belonging is more of an authentic experience because it gives us a sense of security and knowing that we are valued for our true selves. Her work encourages us to embrace our individuality and to find connections based on our authentic selves rather than conforming to others' expectations. This distinction between fitting in and belonging is crucial for our personal growth and forming genuine relationships and genuine communities. Are we willing to allow people to be themselves as part of our community? Do people belong? Or are they being asked to do certain things and be a certain way and dress a certain way and talk a certain way to be a part of the community? Now, that doesn't mean that communities don't need to have standards or expressions for their purpose or are aligned in the sand regarding certain choices. So, for example, we may understand that a person has notions about carrying out a murder. Perhaps they are fascinated by the process of murder. Maybe they hear voices, or they believe that an external entity or God is requiring sacrifices. The community may recognize their right to have such fantasies and thoughts or worship. Still, for the good and safety of others' well-being, the community has set a standard that no murder without severe consequences. Now, this might seem straightforward or perhaps even a little common sense, quotes and quotes illustration, yet it is one that we as communities need to revisit frequently. At one time, in some places now, even now, murdering someone because of a perceived slight or even murdering one's kin because of their kin's life choices is still seem acceptable behavior as part of our population. But as we learn more and experience more as both individuals and community, we grow, we adapt, we level up, and we recognize what is best for all 7 billion humans on the planet, their well-being, for their hopes and their wishes and their dreams and their own individual expressions of talent. We get closer and closer to the realization that in this physical life, cooperation is necessary in the oneness of design, as much as we understand and feel it as a spiritual reality. One solid way to move forward in healing and belonging is through introspection and in self-healing. In trying to have others fit into our paradigm, we're saying that we're not comfortable enough in our own skin to allow you to be comfortable with how you live your life and how you express yourself. If we do not address what we find uncomfortable about ourselves, in not doing this introspection and shadow work, we make everything outside ourselves responsible for us to feel safe and comfortable. This crucial work is what's needed to shift, quote, from seeing life as happening to us to a life that is happening for us. And then the more we work and heal, we see things as life happening through us. One method that I have used, that I do use, and that I'm proud to coach others to use, to this move into awareness for ourselves, is the art of quantum living, researched and developed by Doctors Reverends Gary and Jane Simmons. The art of quantum living was created with an understanding of adult developmental theory and is primarily geared towards assisting those who desire to move beyond accepted levels of adult functioning within our Western culture. The art of quantum living is for those who can see they bear some responsibility for their life circumstances. It's not particularly effective for those who have not yet had this sense of being the architect and the author of their own life. Individuals must cognitively develop enough to reason about abstract concepts before they can enter into consciousness practice of developing themselves in this psycho-spiritual realm of the art of quantum living. So, in a nutshell, the people on earth that first said, killing a person because one finds it joyful, or because there was a perceived wrong done, or that there's this feeling that some external entity or God wants us to sacrifice. You know what? I'm feeling that isn't good. Why did we even think that was a good thing in the first place? And in being some of the first people to start offering a different way from the one that had been done in the past, there's often a backlash, usually a loud one, because not everybody is ready to be the architect and author of their own life. And not everybody is at this space cognitively that they are able to reason about things outside of what they have known and done forever. So perhaps, in this scenario, human sacrifices have been carried out monthly for the past 150 years in this community. Maybe nobody remembers how it started, but many individuals have voiced their thoughts against such a practice. That started to grow. Slowly, the people that don't feel right about this practice move into positions of power. They start to create sanctions and laws against the sacrifices and show the community other ways to offer gratitude for a good harvest. So the question becomes, are you, as an individual, willing to do the work on and for yourself? Are you willing to take yourself to the next level of understanding, to the next level of empathy and compassion, first for yourself and for the people in your immediate life, and then for others in the wider community? Are you willing? Are you willing to speak out about a culture and perpetuating practices and beliefs that insist that people fit in instead of expanding into what is possible with cooperation and collaboration? Do we honor belonging? Are you willing to first move yourself and then others to see that everything that is nostalgic in our minds and the things we say was better when, and that we've always done this, is not really good for the one with a capital O? I tell my kids and my community quite often that unless they are hurting themselves or someone else mentally, emotionally, or physically on purpose, then they cannot go wrong. An addendum to that statement I've used forever is that we also cannot go wrong when we insist on ourselves that we are willing to keep healing, to keep making sure that we are not in a judgmental zone or a have to zone with others and ourselves, and to keep leveling up how we understand what hurting ourselves and others really means. This means looking beyond the definition that's in the dictionary of what a particular community or a group label is. This means moving beyond holding one person or a small group of people up as the most acceptable part of that label to the detriment of everything else. We must look beyond meaning, taking a more extensive and comprehensive perspective. Are the rules, laws, and policies, both written and unwritten, in a place so that change never has to occur? And in so holding on to that name or label brings a sense that one is right and doesn't have to work at all towards increasing one's emotional intelligence. In other words, are we stuck? According to Daniel Goleman, who is the author of Emotional Intelligence and Why It Can Matter More Than IQ, we understand ourselves and how we relate to others, which allows us to develop increasingly levels of success. So, and this implication goes far beyond any workplace setting or, any school setting. And it moves right into our immediate relationships. It speaks to a potential dramatic shift in our capacity to repeat as a species. If the human race gains greater emotional intelligence, we are able to fight less, relate more authentically, and even globally. That's out there for us. And unlike IQ, which many believe is set at a young age, emotional intelligence is a learnable skill. And it is the key factor aiding us in moving beyond communities in which we are finding ways to fit in and to ways in which we belong, and allow others to both grow into belonging and to know that there is nothing for them to do other than embody all they came to this earth with and express it with all the compassion for themselves that they can muster. In the 10th episode of the 5th series of the new Doctor Who, they explored the life of Vincent van Gogh. Now, in Vincent's lifetime, he was not recognized for his artistry. He dealt with mental illness that no one seemed to understand. He just did not fit in. He only belonged to society after his death. So in his art, he belonged to the community who were willing to shine a light on his talents in a way that people at the time of his life were not willing or capable of doing so. So in the Doctor Who episode, he was able to travel in the TARDIS with the Doctor and companion Amy to a museum in which he could hear the curator say these words. But to me, Van Gogh is the finest painter of all. Certainly the most great painter of all time, the most beloved. His command of color was magnificent. He transformed the pain of his tormented life into ecstatic beauty. Pain is easy to portray. but to use your passion and pain to portray the ecstasy and joy and magnificence of our world. No one had ever done it before, and perhaps no one ever will again. To my mind, that strange, wild man who roamed the fields of Provence was not only the world's greatest artist, but also the greatest man who ever lived. The story of Vincent in one moment in history and one moment in an individual's life. He was an individual who would delight and inspire millions after his death through his talents that did not fit into society at the time. If Vincent van Gogh was accepted and allowed to belong, instead of trying and insisting that he fit in and admonish him when he did not, how would that have played out for him? How many may he have been able to heal, share, inspire, and be inspired in his present day and then beyond? We'll never know. We'll never know. But while contemplating the meaning of community and its expression through caring, compassion, cooperation, one more thought did come to my mind, and that's my children. I have 4 children. 2 are settled with significant others. 1 has a child. They are all different, all of them. They all have their own unique talents. They are all at various spaces in their life for their own awareness of the world around them. They all have different perspectives on what is good for them and their families and what they would like to see from their broader communities. They also have my respect. They are willing to ask questions. They allow themselves to be wrong and to change their perspectives. They don't all get to make decisions in the same fashion. They don't all do that. None of them like being wrong. They also know they may disagree with me, but that a conversation for me is always available. A share of perspectives is welcome. Also, though, sometimes the sources are requested when sharing of facts or examples are given so that we can all look at the same piece, the same space, the same source, and see if we are seeing them the same after we have the same source. When I was young, my father was pretty straightforward with me, saying he believed I needed to know my place and that I needed to act like what I was expected to behave within our family group. He wanted and often insisted that I fit in the way that was most comfortable for him. After this conversation with him, I shared less and less and less about what I was thinking and feeling. So he didn't know what I was up to and what I was studying and such. And I remember the day he saw one of my first term papers in college, and he was unhappy. I was very proud of that paper. I don't know if it's still around in files somewhere, but this was pre-Google, and I had spent many, many hours in the library researching and reading to substantiate my thesis statement. I don't remember the exact one, but I know I was claiming that even though it may have been deemed necessary to drop the atomic bomb because of the way society was at the time, that the dropping of the second one was completely unnecessary to achieve the results that were both wanted and needed to bring about an end of world hostilities. Now, I don't remember much else in how I wrote the paper or anything like that, but I do remember how proud I was of the work and the big fat A that was sitting on top of the paper. Thesis papers are papers that are to be supported by facts and research. And I had done that. And I learned how to gather data and how to gather others' opinions and others' research in a manner that could be presented with appropriate citations for the thesis I was developing and putting out there to the world in 15 pages. My father told me that I didn't know what I was talking about and that I had been brainwashed in some fashion by the school. And he only read the first paragraph and none of the rest. Now, I'm going to recount this story not to demonize my father, but as an illustration for what we come across every day. I was not equipped at that time to maneuver or even understand other people's emotional healing, internal processing, or emotional intelligence, and to know that all of that was at play. Today, though, I often feel like I'm living in a society with that exact same level of emotional intelligence I experienced as a young college student with my father. The kind that won't accept Vincent van Gogh's talent because of his mental illness, and the one where my father reads one paragraph that does not align with his sense of pride within the American label, and then refuses to read the rest, or even acknowledge the accomplishment of learning that style of research and writing, or even the grade that was earned. I know that we are all capable of more. I know that I am. The striving to reach our full potential continues throughout our lives, unless we want to remain stagnant. Unless we move and heal and grow and accept there is always more to learn and grow into, we will not speak up and merely fit in with those who sacrifice others to the powers they feel are more incredible than themselves so that they may fit in. No, I belong. I belong to the human race. I belong to the universe that sprung us into being. I belong to oneness of all life, both physical and non-physical, both visible and non-visible. I am stardust, and I am creation manifest. And we belong. We belong to the human race and to the universe that sprung us all into being. We belong to the oneness of all, the physical and the non-physical, the visible and the non-visible. We are all stardust. We are all walking, talking creation made manifest. I and we have an infinite number of perspectives and of ways in which to see the world and interact with it, around it, through it, as it. Unless we are harming the I or the we in our decisions, unless we refuse to grow in compassion and healing and emotional intelligence, we are on the road to belonging. We, all of us, in all our colors and all the ways we create family and all the ways we feed our family and learn and talk and grow, and in all the ways we want a place in which our loved ones and chosen communities are safe and thriving and able to express their own uniqueness. Each uniqueness creates a space, filling a need that benefits all. Right when I was about to start sharing this in this recording, I read an article that was published in the New York Times about Representative Perez and the Blue Dogs, who have leveraged their unique talent to speak to her community needs and that bridge that gap between college educated workers and small town business owners and people that, quote, work with their hands. With that are a lot of times, quote, working with their hands without a college education, but a training or an internship or whatever. She believes that working for people and not ideas is her talent. So this article is a beautiful example of belonging and her belonging. In this case, her belonging to United States Congress. It's also an excellent example because I don't agree with every vote she cast, especially concerning the LGBTQ plus community. Now, the article does say that part of her voting strategy is kind of like a chessboard. So I understand the atmosphere of her voting, like she's playing chess with some of her decisions, even if I don't agree with all of them. I also appreciate the tenacity and a sense of belonging it takes for her to be in such a place and continue to hold her onto her drive to aid her constituents in a way that has not been done before. And all this to say, it is possible for me to understand, admire, and learn something from someone that I may not 100% agree with. Now, in the link, there'll be a link here for you that will take you to a gift article link for this. If you'd like to read more about her and the work she's doing, you can also listen to it instead of read it. But to sum up, really, any movement forward and beyond where we are now as individuals and community requires a period of disagreement and or discomfort. We need to do that disagreement and discomfort with ourselves to move forward and heal in wholeness, as well as with each other to integrate our community into belonging, our wider community into belonging, because each of us creates a space, each of us filling a need through a talent we each possess that has the possibility of benefiting us all, the one. Thank you. Take care.
The gentle breeze whispers secrets to the leaves. The sunlight weaves patterns through the forest canopy. Roots entwine a silent symphony of unity. In this sacred dance we find our place in eternity. One heart, one pulse resonating through time. The rhythm of existence, a cosmic rhyme. Healing melodies flow from the depths within love's harmonious embrace, where healing begins. Mountains hum ancient mantras to the sky. Streams carry memories of stars long gone by. In every note, a thread connecting you and me. The music of existence, a universal symphony. Resonating through time, the rhythm of existence, a cosmic rhyme. Healing melodies flow from the depths within love's harmonious embrace, where healing begins. As the sun kisses the horizon, day and night entwine, we are stardust, boundless and divine. In this music we find solace, a sacred art. For the nature of healing is love, and love is our heart. As the sun kisses the horizon, day and night entwine. We are stardust, boundless and divine. In this music, we find solace, a sacred art. For the nature of healing is love, and love is our heart.